Hey, what's up? What's up? I'm on my lunch break, and I want to do a video on uh, marriage, faith, and your children. If you are the adults that fall into this, and so I started off with growing up as a child. I wasn't given much attention at home. Uh, Single mother household. Mother got to work. Older siblings, three older siblings, they doing their own thing, and so there's just me, my baby brother, and baby sister. I oftentimes struggle feeling seen or feeling like I mattered growing up, and so as a child, I, the world was so matter of fact for me. So as a child, I began to play sports. At home, I just never really felt good enough because I never got recognized. And I know this is silly, but I never got recognized. So in sports, when I started off, around about the age of 8, I played basketball and football, and a lot of times I was told that I wasn't good enough or I wasn't good at it, and so I began to feel the same way I felt at home. I began to feel in sports, right? And so I figured this made sense. I just wasn't good enough, right? So in sports, what I did was when I was about 10, every that summer, every morning I would wake up. And basketball was my passion. Every morning I would wake up and I would practice something on my own. I would practice something on my own where people said I wasn't good at it. People said I couldn't dribble with my left hand. I dribbled with my left hand. If they said I couldn't do a crossover, I worked on the crossovers the entire summer. I ran. I did my push-ups. This is at 10 years old. True story. I ran every morning. I did my push-ups. I was active. I wanted to be better because I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be felt like I had value or worth. And so I did that, and I did get better. I got pretty good at basketball. And so much so that it went from younger being sat on the bench or not playing at all because I wasn't good enough, and I was told that. It began to be I'm starting now, and plays are designed for me, and coaches require me, or even though I was poor and I couldn't afford to get on certain travel teams, the coaches would pay for it out of their pocket, and so that made me feel wanted. So early in my life, I developed a coping mechanism that if I did well in sports, I would feel love because I needed that parental love from somewhere. Although I did get love at home, the love I got at home was tough love. It wasn't emotional love. It was tough love, and it was always matter of fact. And so I got that love from sports, mainly basketball, and it made me feel normal. It made me feel normal. And I'm gonna get into the story, the title, marriage, faith, and children. But I gotta lead up to it so I can let you know where I'm coming from and you can understand what I'm about. And so I used that love to feel normal through life. So I began to play more and more sports. I knew that if I was good at it, I was gonna get attention. I was good at it, I was gonna get attention. I did this for years and years and years, but it seemed like every level I made it to, because I was good at it, but I probably wasn't the best basketball player. But every next level I made it to, as far as talent, I was told the same thing. I'm not good at something. I'm not good at this. So it made me feel less love. So once again, back again, working on it. Boom, getting stronger, getting my forearm stronger, getting my core stronger, making sure my vertical is good because I'm only 5'10", so I had to make sure my vertical was good. I made sure I was better at whatever they said I couldn't, and I would be able to compete, and it felt good to compete. It felt great. I was able to do that. So on top of being able to compete, ooh Biggie, on top of being able to compete, I got that attention I was looking for. And this happened with every level. I was one of those players where I was good enough just to get into it. I worked that much, but I did a lot of that training on my own. On my own. My older siblings, they had their own thing going on, and it was just me and my baby brother and my baby sister. But I would play basketball with them, teach them certain things, and yeah. But I did a lot of that progress on my own. I was always sort of poor. I wasn't poor in food, but I was poor in resources. I never had on the best shoes. Kids would make fun of me for that, and things of that nature. And but I knew that my game was good. It backed up me not having what everybody else had. That's the only thing I had to my name was I'm gonna be 100 and my game is solid. Period. Right? And so I did all this fast forward into getting older, and now uh, as a father, my son had a basketball practice, and I work with him because he needs development. I work with him, and he had a basketball practice. He performed at that moment. I felt like he performed horribly, and at that exact moment, it made me feel all again how I felt as a child. I love my son. I love all my kids. And I wanted him to do well because I felt like he needed that to be seen, not realizing that he has great parents. He doesn't necessarily need sports to be seen. His circumstances are completely different from mine growing up. And I failed to understand that. As a parent at that moment, I failed because I told my son when we got in the car, as I was coaching him during the practice, but when we got in the car, I told him, I said, "Hey, son, are you sure you want? Are you sure you want to play basketball? Because that was not the best performance." I told him it was a sucky performance, a horrible performance, and I was telling him this, and it hurt his feelings. I knew that because when he went to his mama's house, she texted me and told me that he was crying because of what I said, and it made me realize at that moment. Well, not even at that moment, because I'm still in that mode of when I was growing up, how this is what you had to be told in order to be pushed, to be better, right? And so I was going off of that energy, but it took me a day or so. It took me a day or so to sort of understand what happened. What happened? I subjected my son to my childhood, even though his circumstances are different. As a parent, we have to understand to allow our kids to find their passion instead of us giving them passion. Allow them to find their passion to motivate them in it. And the story isn't similar, but I'm just going to get to the point. Actually, let me backtrack. So, that being said, I treated that situation horribly as a parent. I treated the situation completely terrible as a parent, and I knew it at that when I started to realize. I realized what I did, and I knew two things for sure. At the end of that day, I knew my son was passionate about basketball, and I knew he was concerned with making me proud. That's what I realized at that moment. He was concerned of making his father proud. And sometimes as adults, we have to learn to let go of certain traumas in our past while also recognizing the trauma. Because even though the trauma helped you cope, it may be a completely different situation for your children. So in marriage, and this also goes in marriage. When you're married, certain things from your past, you still have to recognize what that was in your past because it has made you who you are now. But you have to let go of it. Recognize it, but let go of it because you can't emotionally treat your relationship like your past. If you're treating your new wife or your new girlfriend like the girlfriends or the boyfriends from your past or the husbands or whoever from your past, it's going to always creep up to issues in your present. We have to avoid this. We have to, as parents, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, partners, we have to recognize that I have to let go of my past while recognizing what the past made me today. You have to let go of it. And there's a scripture. It's not in the same energy, but it's the same spirit. Matthew 19, verse 21, where the guy walks up to Jesus. And he basically proclaims, I want to follow you. And Jesus tells him, you have to sell everything you have and you have to follow me. Well, in the subsequent verses, the young man walks away sad because he had a past. His past was wealth, but he had a past. And that also is a situation we deal with in marriages. So the guy was unable to realize the moment. He wasn't able to recognize his wealth and let it go and understand the moment. The moment was Christ, the movement of Christ, the movement of Jesus Christ, him becoming married to the church, him resembling the covenant between God and the church. That's what our marriage is, a movement to image God and the church. Our marriage is an image to God and the church. It's a mirror image. It should be a mirror image. And if we're not able to let go of our past, but recognize what we had in the past and live in the now, we will also not be able to follow the movement. You will also not be able to follow Christ in your marriage. You will also not be able to follow Christ in guiding your children. That's why I give you a story of how I came to this realization. I'm not telling you this to turn you into a better parent. I'm telling you this because I know that I'm not the only parent who has made this mistake. For those of you that haven't made that mistake, congrats to you. But I'm not the type of parent or husband who hasn't made these mistakes. And in this particular situation, I was unable to let go of my past and allow my son to be in his present. When he practiced horribly, I felt like I was practicing horribly, and I wasn't able to follow that movement, which is be there for my son. I was there physically, but emotionally I wasn't there. And in relationships, not only for our children, but firstly, our spouses, we have to be emotionally there. That guy with the wealth, he was physically there, but he wasn't willing to be emotionally there. Now, if you go back and read that passage, Jesus talks about it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than somebody to the eye of a camel, or entering the eye of a camel, or something of that nature. I haven't read that scripture in a while, but I do remember it to be something that tune. But we're missing out if we don't check that insecurity in our relationships, in our lives, in our workplace, in our faith. If we don't check those insecurities, it will come back to bite you. And that's even if you meditated on it. If you don't meditate on it, you don't think on it, it may not ever affect you. But if you meditate on it and realize that you need to be better than what you were, it will eat at you. It will eat at you. And so, what I'm saying today, whatever you've done yesterday, acknowledge it. If you hurt your partner's feelings, acknowledge it. Let them know you acknowledge it, and tell them and reiterate that you understand what you did. Let whatever you did in the past be a lesson. Let it be a lesson. It ain't just a current situation, but it is your lesson. And I urge you, couples out there, to just work on getting better. That's it. Work on getting better. This your boy Steve. You can find me on TikTok at Just Logic, JUS_Logic. Facebook, Kyle Johnson. You probably see me in my military uniform, hugged up with my wife on my profile pic. And you can follow me, but these are videos because I'm passionate about being a better husband, about being a better father, uncle, whatever the case. I'm passionate about being better, and I'm a student of life. I realize my things that I fail at, and I work on them. Have I improved them greatly? Yes, but do I still have a ways to go? Yes. Both things can be true at the same time. So, once again, I want to say this is for any couple, not just couples who are melanated, couples who are less melanated, or whatever the case is. But we have to get better. We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to the past, and we owe it to the people in our present. This is important, and we need this. More relationships need this. This is the medicine that we have failed to take in my generation. This is the medicine that we are neglecting. The medicine of understanding, compassion, and love. Just love. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.